America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, the NFL's prototype franchise with a winning head coach and prolific quarterbacks. But the shining star of the NFL burned out in the 80s. A new regime took control in Dallas, and Troy Aikman, the All-American quarterback from UCLA, was their first draft pick. As a boy, he was a fan of the Cowboys and Roger Staubach.
The thing that I always remember about the Cowboys when I was growing up was the fact that even if they were down 2 or 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, you couldn't count them out because Roger was always capable of bringing them back.
Now, 24 years old, Aikman is in his 3rd season as the starting quarterback in Dallas. He has become a dynamic leader of these new-look Cowboys. A team with a proud heritage, but a new identity.
They do things differently here now. The rest of the league is caught up, but the ultimate goal and what everybody hopes to achieve, and that's winning Super Bowls, and that has not changed.
It's one of the NFL's great rivalries, the Redskins and Cowboys. They meet tonight on ABC's Monday Night Football. Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys, and tonight a sellout crowd on hand as the Cowboys entertain their longtime rival in the NFC East, the Washington Redskins. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, along with my colleagues Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Happy you're with us. We've waited a long time for this one, the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys. We spotlighted them many times on Monday Night Football, one of the oldest rivalries in the National Football Conference. The Cowboys have not had a winning season since 1985, but they have improved under new owner Jerry Jones, who took over in February of 1989. They were 1-15 that year, but they were 7-9 a year ago, and they just barely missed the playoffs. They had a big game against Cleveland, winning their opener, and you can just hear the cry here in Dallas. Man, we are ready for prime time. But the question is, are they ready for the Washington Redskins? The Redskins were a 10-6 playoff team, losing to the 49ers last year. They are big, strong, and Al Michaels, this is a well-coached football team that is coming in here knowing that they have played tough against Dallas, and Dallas has played them tough over the past few years, but they could introduce a little reality to the Dallas scene here.
They certainly can. Frank, when you look at the component parts of the Washington Redskins, you have to be impressed. The offensive line is savvy, and they are smart and very experienced. They have a big-time running back in Ernest Biner. They have 3 great receivers in Monk, Clark, and Sanders. The defensive unit plays smart, hitty football, led by people like Charles Mann and Darrell Green and Wilbur Marshall. Their coach, of course, Joe Gibbs, has been to 3 Super Bowls, and he surrounded himself with a terrific staff of assistants. But if the Redskins are to be playing that last Sunday in January in Minneapolis in Super Bowl 26, the man who will make the difference is the quarterback, Mark Rippon. He has shown flashes of brilliance throughout his career, but he's been injury-prone and he's been inconsistent. And I said to Joe Gibbs last night, what does he have to do to raise it up just that one little level? And he says he has to stay healthy and he has to be consistent. And if he's consistently good, this team could make it to the Super Bowl. Tonight they face Dallas Day and a team that clearly has improved. The question is, how much?
Well, and we'll get a bit of an answer to that tonight, Al, because you're right. The Redskins are going to be a great barometer. But the Redskins are just the team the Dallas Cowboys would like to play. Frank mentioned that 2 years ago they were 1-15. Well, that one was a win against the Redskins. Last year when they were 7-9, 2 tough games against Washington, losing 1 by 4 points and winning the second game. So this is the right team for the Cowboys to be playing. The old saying, what is it? 90% of the game is half mental. Well, the Dallas Cowboys believe they can beat the Washington Redskins. Now, they're not as talented as Washington, make no mistake about that, but they have talent in one right position. That is in the quarterback spot with Troy Aikman. This kid is going to end up being one of the most accurate passers the National Football League has ever seen. Now, he hasn't played well against the Redskins. In 3 games, check these numbers, 1 touchdown pass, 6 interceptions, and he's been sacked 15 times. Troy Aikman, sooner or later, is going to have a breakthrough game against the Skins. The question is, will it be tonight?
And in their home opener, a capacity crowd looking on as these two teams have at it for the first time since Thanksgiving Day last year, when the Cowboys, under Jimmy Johnson, who was then in his 2nd season, beat them. Emmitt Smith had a very big day, in fact the best day of his brief career, with 132 yards on the ground. And Joe Gibbs, who has faced the Cowboys many times in his career, His numbers there, his regular season figures, so he has won 2 of every 3 games in a 10-year career. Though he is dead even against Dallas, he is 10-10 against the Cowboys. Chip Lohmiller, one of the best place kickers in the league. To kick off, the Cowboys will receive with James Dixon and the speedster Alexander Wright. That's right on the right. Back to receive. And listen to the crowd at Texas Stadium as they rise for the kickoff. And Lohmiller's kick is a bouncer. Falling down is Dixon. So not the most artistic beginning as it comes back to the 20-yard line. And Dallas begins its first drive from there. Troy Aikman grew up in Southern California, then moved to Oklahoma and matriculated at Oklahoma before transferring to UCLA. #1 pick in the draft a couple of years ago. He's got Smith and Johnston behind him. Johnston basically a blocker. Wright can fly. Irvin on the other side. Novacek catches a lot of passes. 2-8, Gogan, Stepnoski, Giesick, and the kitchen, 320-pound Nate Newton up front. 1st and 10, Dallas from the 20. And Aikman, the short drop, the quick pass to Novacek. Novacek breaks the tackle, fights for a first down, a pickup of 14. Brad Edwards and Matt Millen converge on the tackle against the man who led all tight ends in receptions last year. 4-3 alignment for the Skins. Mann, Williams, Johnson, and Cook. Then the 3 linebackers. Marshall plays the strong side this year and Collins the weak side, with Matt Millen, the longtime Raider and 49er, coming over and playing B. You know about Darrell Green, he's great. Edwards and Walton are the safeties. Martin Mayo, a guy they like to pick on occasionally, but a guy who had a great year last year. 1st and 10 from the 34-yard line with Johnston in motion. And Emmitt Smith, who carried 32 times and caught 6 passes last week against Cleveland, is pushed back by Tim Johnson.
Al and Frank, one of the things that Dallas is doing is giving Washington a little taste of their own medicine, opening up with a power look. Only 1 wide receiver and 2 tight ends with Novacek and Roberts, and this is really a look that I don't know that Washington was ready for.
And of course Novacek was put out as a flanker on that first pass. That got him a mismatch with Alvin Walton, man-to-man, the strong safety. And Dallas would love to have that all night long, because Novacek is a tight end, but he is also a receiver. You can split and get man-to-man and get good action out of him.
2nd and 7 from the 37. Opening drive of the game. Emmitt Smith finds a hole, exploits it, goes to the Skins 45. Tackled by Edwards, and so the Cowboys begin with back-to-back first downs.
Take a look right up the middle. The Washington defense gambles to the inside. Marcus Cook, number 74, remained right in his position and didn't get inside to close this hole. And Emmitt Smith behind 2-A. Gogan, Stepnoski really finds himself in the secondary in a hurry. This is a strong opening offensively for Dallas.
18-yard gain for Smith. First down at the Redskins' 45-yard line. Aikman, the pump fake, then tries to find the open man, Martin, and getting a hand on it was Andre Collins coming over to cover. 2nd down.
Collins has been moved over to the weak side for the Redskins this year, and you saw one of the reasons why. He's good in pass coverage. He has a lot of speed, and they have moved Wilbur Marshall over to the strong side, and they'll try to get him into that position. But Andre Collins, a real steal, as a 2nd-round pick a year ago, and one of the few rookies ever to start for Joe Gibbs. Made a good play there.
The Skins play a lot of man-to-man defense back in their secondary. They like to lock Darrell Green and Mayhew up. That time they're in a zone, and Collins looked like he might have surprised Aikman by being underneath.
2nd and 10 from the 45. Smith on a delay, tries to cut it back, breaks a tackle, and then fumbles the football out of bounds. He got out of the grasp of Wilbur Marshall, and then Brad Edwards created the fumble, but Dallas retains possession.
And you said it, Al. He got out of the grasp of one of the fine tackling linebackers that's ever played in this game, Wilbur Marshall, and that'll tell you what kind of a running back Emmitt Smith. He's 5'9", 203 pounds, and watch him just bounce away from Wilbur Marshall. Again, the sure-handed number 58. Breaks it to the outside and gets good yardage out of it.
3rd down and 5 as Marshall comes out. Aikman swings it out for Johnston, but he is stopped immediately by Monty Coleman at the 38-yard line. They're 3 yards shy of the 1st down at the 38-yard line. Well, they have a kicker who kicked a 54-yard field goal last week. This would be from 55 if they opt for that.
I think they're thinking about going at their offensive team is staying on the field. And you know what? This is not that bad a call.
If they, in fact, go for it.
Well, if you miss the field goal, it's going to come back to the line of scrimmage.
If you punt it and it ends up going into the end zone, you end up down at the 20. So what? You've got, what? It's 18 yards at risk here.
Well, they have the look of a team that's just going to take a penalty or a timeout.
They got the timeout before the penalty. Barely.
First charge, timeout, Dallas.
So it's 4th and 3 when we come back. It's on the sideline after the timeout. The Cowboys have their offensive unit in there to go for it on 4th and 3 at the 37-yard line.
It's a gutsy call by Jimmy Johnson.
4 wide receivers, and keep in mind too, Emmitt Smith is very dangerous now coming out of that backfield as they've introduced him into their passing game much more.
I'll tell you what, though, this is fun, boys.
4th and 3. Aikman has to get it to the 35, and wide open first down, Novacek at the 20.
Novacek got matched up again with Alvin Walton, and Walton, as he did on the very first play of the game, was laying off 5-6 yards. But you have to do that to a tight end like Novacek, who has a great speed.
Well, they brought Michael Irvin across underneath, and the the Redskin defense rather, really came up and smothered Irvin, and Novacek on a 4th down play, just wide open in the middle of the Redskin zone.
First down, Dallas at the Redskin 21, opening drive of the game. 10:50 to play, first quarter. Emmitt Smith seeks the hole, doesn't find it. Wrapped up by Marcus Cook. Tim Johnson is there as well.
Well, I got to tell you how much good that'll do a young team like the Cowboys, they've really started to believe in themselves. As Dan alluded to in his opening, this is a team that thinks they can win. They think they're good, and you come out there and you'll go against the Washington Redskins defense on a 4th down and a long 3, and you get it. That does an awful lot of good for you.
Well, you don't have to be around this guy very often either, Jimmy Johnson, to realize this man wins. He wins everywhere, and he will win in Dallas.
One at Oklahoma State, one big at Miami. 2nd and 9. That's Alfredo Roberts in motion. He stays in the block. It's a swing pass to Emmitt Smith. And he gets to the 17-yard line. He is tackled there by Wilbur Marshall. So again, the Cowboys confronted with a 3rd down. It'll be 3rd and about 5.
Smith caught 6 last week against Cleveland, and that was one of the goals that Jimmy Johnson set for the Cowboys coming into the season. Let's get the ball to Smith, not only running the football because he's very durable. He carried it 32 times last week, but let's get it to him in the air, and he's a good receiver.
That's a pattern, though, I think the Cowboys ought to retire for a while. They tried it with Johnston. Now they tried it that time with Smith. First, Monty Coleman snuffed it, and that time Wilbur snuffed it.
Jimmy Johnson watching his Cowboys trying to convert again. 3rd down, a short 6 from the 17 with Martin in motion. And Aikman with the open man. It's right inside the 5, tackles at the 3, 1st and goal.
Well, the busiest cornerback in football is named Martin Mayhew, and that's because he has to play opposite Darrell Green, maybe the best coverage cornerback in the National Football League. And here Alexander Wright just runs a simple hook pattern, and Mayhew, playing close to the goal line, Frank, gives him an awful big cushion and then misses a tackle.
Oh, and it was synced up so well between Aikman. You talked earlier about his accuracy. He can really put the smoke on that ball, too, and he timed that out beautifully with Wright. Mayhew had no chance to get back and make the play.
1st and goal, a drive that began at their 20, the fake to Smith, and then the pass to Novacek. Novacek, touchdown.
Novacek is on his way to Canton. They don't do something here tonight. He's come off the line of scrimmage free every time, and no one has been bumping him around. He's getting right in the face of the defender.
They ran a similar play last week against Cleveland for a touchdown, and they come back here and go 80 yards on the opening drive.
An impressive drive it was. Key play, of course, 4th down and 3, and there was never question as you looked at them that they doubted whether they were going to make it.
Meanwhile, Novacek plays a key role here as well. He'll hold for Ken Willis's conversion, and he does that perfectly as well.
They are rocking on in Big D.
6:37 into the game. 7-0 Dallas.
They better work on big number 84.
Tight end in the league caught more balls than he did last season. 59 for Novacek. And he takes the touchdown toss from Aikman here to put Dallas on top. 7-0.
One of those Plan B players that have worked out so well for Dallas. Came over from Phoenix a year ago.
Ken Willis, who had the first touchback of his career last week in Cleveland, has been kicking deeper in preseason and, of course, in the opener. At the 9-yard line, this is Joe Johnson, the former Joe Howard, who changed his name in the offseason, and a little skirmish breaks out.
All right, you say, how does Novacek get open? I'll tell you why. He makes it look like he's pass blocking. He comes down on Charles Mann. Mann knocks him back on his heels, and that leaves him wide open. Everyone in the Washington secondary. Another look. Watch him go down to his left, Frank.
And Wilbur Marshall, who was right over him, saw him go down to make that block, and he went out to help out on the outside and gave up Novacek, who had to be his man in close. And that's how touchdowns are born.
That's great acting by Jay Novacek. That's good work.
First down, Redskins from the 17, and their first offensive play is a 1.5-yard gain by Ernest Biner. And Biner gets into it with Ken Norton for the moment. That's the son of the former heavyweight champion. You don't want to do that. Mark Rippon out of Washington State. His first 2 years in the league were spent on injured reserve, trying to come into his own now. And he is backed up by the sole setback, Biner. The 3 great receivers, Sanders, Clark, and Monk. Ron Middleton, the starting tight end. And the good offensive line with Sage Jacoby, Bostick, Charette, and Simmons.
That's a great line.
Second down and 9 from the 19-yard line. Biner, that hole closed in a hurry. He gets to the 22-yard line. Jim Jeffcoat in on the stop. Let's take a look at the Cowboy defense. Tony Casillas, the longtime Falcon who never found a home there, is up front. We talked about Norton. Del Rio is the new middle linebacker. Vincent Smith on the other side. Holt is great. Hendricks on the other side. Washington and Horton are the safeties. Third down 5 at the 22. 7 minutes to go. First quarter. 7-0 Cowboys. Rippon. And it's broken up by Isaac Holt, intended for Art Monk.
All week long in the papers here in Dallas, the players, the coach, the owner have been talking about the importance of returning to Monday Night Football. And I think you can sense by the way the Dallas Cowboys have opened this game, the enthusiasm, the intensity that they're playing with. And again, demonstrated by Isaac Holt making just a superb play on the ball and Art Monk. This town is on fire right now.
And that wasn't the zone Dallas usually employs. That was man for man. Holt made a terrific play.
Kelly Goodburn to punt. Fielded at the 45 and dropped by Kelvin Martin. A loose ball. Bouncing back toward the Cowboy goal line, and it is picked up down at the 25 by Raven Caldwell.
And that is how you lose momentum in a hurry. That's how it falls apart in a hurry. Kelvin Martin has the perfect opportunity. He looks the ball in. He's in the proper position, and it just bounces off his chest.
I was going to say, Dan, was not a bad choice on Martin. If you're questioning the choice,
Oh,
a good
no.
choice. He just didn't handle the football. You have to look that in. Look it into your hands and not your chest. And Martin loses the football. The scramble, and Caldwell finally comes up with it. And you're exactly right. That'll take a lot of smoke out of the Cowboys.
Redskins first down at the Cowboy 28. 7-0 Dallas. 6.5 minutes left in the opening quarter. Here's Ernest Biner slicing his way down at the 23-yard line. Tony Tolbert makes the hit.
And this is where time after time in this situation, the Redskins go to their running game, to the Hogs up front to get control of something that they're on the verge of losing and to get it back. And that's exactly what you can look for right now. Joe Gibbs is going to be more than willing to try to pound this thing down in there.
And Jimmy Johnson expects the Redskins to pound it. Second down 4 from the 23. On an end around, this is Ricky Sanders for the first down, and down to the 7 where it'll be first and goal. Joe Jacoby, who has moved to guard, led the way with a block.
Boy, that's a good-looking play, isn't it?
They did it last week with Art Monk a couple of times, and Joe Gibbs will put a little wrinkle, a new wrinkle, into the next game after they scout one game, and he brings Sanders around this time, gets a tremendous block there by Jacoby.
Yeah, Jacoby absorbed Manny Hendricks.
Engulfed him.
We may have to peel Manny off his jersey.
First and goal, Redskins at the 7. Biner takes it inside the 2. And a marker is down. There's a flag at the line of scrimmage. Jerry Markwright is the referee tonight.
Some of the skin players are pointing towards Dallas.
So is Markwright.
Yep. I don't know if one of the Cowboys lined up in the neutral zone.
Well, here's the choice for the Skins now. Half the distance, and it remains first and goal, or take the play and have it second and goal from the 1. Half the distance is about to the 3.5. That's the option that the Skins have at the moment.
I think you take the 1. When you've got those big guys averaging about 290, you know they're going to get you 1.
Offside, number 77, defense, lined up in the neutral zone. Half the distance, first down.
Well, they've opted to take the penalty instead of the play, because as we say, had they taken the play, second and goal from the 1.
Here's Jeffcoat right here. Look at his hand in comparison to all the others on the Cowboy defense. He's about a foot out in front of the other guys, and he gets the flag for being in the neutral zone. That's not the kind of mistake you expect a veteran ball player like Jeffcoat to make. Excuse me, Al. Jeffcoat, a guy who was in trouble, now starting for this club.
First and goal from the 3. Rippon looking for Jimmy Johnson, and no relation to the Dallas coach. He scores a touchdown on a similar play to the one the Skins ran against Detroit last week.
Exactly, Al. He came back and made it look like a block. The Cowboys bought it just as they bought the block earlier by Novacek against them. They buy one from Jimmy Johnson as he comes around. Looks like he's going to crack back in and just eases into the end zone.
And a couple of touchdowns in a couple of games, as you saw in that graphic. He's the motion guy. There he is, moving to the right of the screen. Fakes the block, and I mean, Dallas is... But look at the one-handed catch. That's the best part of the whole thing. Like Novacek, he did a good job of acting, but the one-handed catch topped it all off. And this ain't a bad way to get it going, Al.
Ohlmiller's extra point is good. And so Jimmy Johnson watches Jimmy Johnson score a touchdown and watches his team now tied with Washington 7-7.
He does Keith Jackson almost as good as Keith Jackson.
Oh, yeah. Stay up for him. Whoa, Nelly.
Glad to have the Keither back.
Yep.
Chip Lohmiller sends that one just about to Fort Worth. And Dallas will take over at its 20-yard line with 4:41 to play in the opening quarter.
Well, now this will be interesting to see how Dallas, who came onto the field with a wild, emotional spill, and then they had a little adversity. Let's see if they can pull it back together here for their second drive.
It's sold out. Redskins, after that Kelvin Martin fumble, took over at the 28, go in 3 plays. Each team has scored a touchdown on a pass to a tight end tonight. One to Novacek, one to Johnson. You look at Matt Millen, the middle linebacker for Washington, picked up on plan B from the 49ers. Aikman, first down, hits Emmitt Smith, and Smith gets to the 25-yard line. Millen got a hand on his ankle to slow him down. Well, next week, we remain in Texas, and we go southeast to Houston, where we go to the Dome. And the Oilers, with Warren Moon, a team that scored 77 points in its first 2 games, hosts the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Second and 5 from the 25. 4 minutes to go. First quarter. 7-7. Smith. First down. And a lot more. Into Redskin territory. Emmitt Smith being chased down. They will not get him. Touchdown.
Well, they answered, Dan. A major league block by Darrell Johnson. Springs Emmitt Smith, and then you just saw some unbelievably quality running from him.
And you saw some unbelievably poor tackling by the Washington Redskins, and Joe Gibbs isn't real happy about it. Watch how Emmitt Smith is in the midst of a whole gaggle of Redskins. Comes out of there, and then it's a race to the end zone, and for a moment it looked like he was going to be caught by Brad Edwards. Andre Collins got close, but Dallas answers. You're right.
Willis for the point after. That's the longest run from scrimmage in 5 years for the Dallas Cowboys. 14-7.
And it reminds you of a guy named Dorsett that took the ball and went 99 1/2 yards.
With 10 men on the field.
See,
watch the breaking of the tackles again. Keep in mind, number 48 Johnson with a good block in front of this. But this is sloppy tackling. There, Wilburn Marshall misses coming from the offside. And Emmitt Smith not known for great speed, but he's got some speed because he runs away from safety man Brad Edwards and gets away from Andre Collins.
Well, his legs have got to be a little tired. He carried the ball 32 times last week against the Browns. He caught another 6 passes. He's carried it a lot here early in this game. Granted, it's early in the year, but, you know, some of these players, they're still a little weary from training camp. This is a quick start for number 22, Emmitt Smith.
And they used him a lot in training camp.
Yeah.
They were trying to put in an offense under new offensive coordinator, Norv Turner, and they wanted to get familiar with each other, and they used him a lot in training camp. But he's been used a lot all through high school All-American, great All-American at Florida. He's been a star everywhere he's been.
Well, Jimmy Johnson goes back all the way to his career at Miami when Smith was a high school star in Florida. But he said, I really didn't recruit him because Emmitt wanted to play tailback with an I formation team, and we weren't anything like that at Miami.
No, Emmitt did not like how often they threw the ball at the University of Miami.
So Smith went to Gainesville as Willis's kick is taken by Joe Johnson at the 2, and Johnson brings it back up to the 25-yard line. Shot by Vincent Smith.
A good question Dan would know to see how Washington reacts.
Yeah.
Go back to their game plan. They have shown they can move the ball on the ground behind this big offensive line that I think this offensive line, Dan, has come together exactly as Joe Gibbs had planned for a lot of years.
I couldn't agree more, but right now the critical guy on the Washington sideline is Richie Pettibone. He's got to get that defense together. They tackled poorly on Dallas's opening drive. They better start wrapping up or it's going to be a long night for the Skins defensively. There's Pettibone right there.
Skins come up with 4 wide receivers. The fake to Biner, pressure put on Rippon, but he gets it away to Sanders, who's caught from behind by Vincent Smith, very close to a first down.
There's Richie Pettibone, the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator of the Redskins. And this man has a temper second to none, and something tells me that the Redskin defensive players have heard it already. Frank, you played against this guy.
I played against him, and he was one of the fine tacklers in the league, too. I mean, he was a hitter, a headhunter for both the Bears, the Rams, and then the Redskins. And he just won't tolerate a whole lot of that.
It was a first down for Washington. 3 minutes to go in the quarter. 14-7 Dallas. from the 36. Here's Biner, who breaks the tackle, but then he runs into a couple of other Cowboys, and a flag is down. Cowboys lined up offside.
Some nifty work here by Ernest Biner himself, who spins right out of the tackle of Tony Casillas.
Offside, number 75, defense, lining up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, the flag is on Casillas, who was in the neutral zone, so we've seen that twice. We saw Jeffco do it the first time, and now it's Tony Casillas. Here's Casillas right here, and again, look how he's farther forward than the other Cowboy defensive lineman. His helmet is into that neutral zone.
Sure different than the old flex defense, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. This is an attacking style.
1st and 5. They run this out of a basic eye with Biner taking it for a first down into Dallas territory. Gets it to the 48 with 2:20 to go in the quarter. Well, Joe Gibbs does not like to play on Monday, and there is the perfect illustration. They have lost 6 straight Monday night games, and we had a Saturday night special last year because of the Christmas holidays, and they lost that one as well.
Yeah, that was against the Colts in Indianapolis, and I was thinking he just didn't like us.
Maybe that too. First down at the 48. End around Art Monk. Monk breaks the tackle, and then is stopped at the 43-yard line by James Washington and Jim Jeffco.
Yeah, good hustling on that defense. That was Horton that came up and turned Monk back to the inside, but this is the kind of defense that Jimmy Johnson likes. He'll give up a lot of size sometimes to go for speed. He does not have big linebackers, but they're all quick. Norton, Del Rio, Vincent Smith, they have great speed. They're not tough straight ahead, but they will cover a lot of ground, as will his defensive lineman. He doesn't want a whole lot of wrestling at the line of scrimmage. He wants you to hit, attack, and then pursue.
2nd and 5. That's Terry Orr lined up in the fullback spot, and he leads the way for Biner, but there's not much there, and there's a marker down as well. He gets to the 42. Looked like Orr started in motion, perhaps, and that could be the call. Jerry Markwright says, I don't need any more help. Illegal motion against Washington. And
Illegal motion, number 21, offense. Penalty declined, 3rd down.
So Del Rio saying we'll take the play. It'll be 3rd down and 5 at the 43.
Redskins have not yet gone to Gary Clark, and he has been their clutch man for so many times over the years. A big game last week against Detroit.
Caught 6 passes. 3rd and 5 from the 43. Monk comes in motion. And Rippon finds Sanders. Nice catch. First down at the 35-yard line. Stretch for it. Got it. Tackled by Gann. And Dallas keeps the drive going with 30 seconds to play in the period.
I guess you could call that a nice catch. Rippon throws the ball way too far out in front of Ricky Sanders. And look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful work by Sanders. A great look.
And then, again, not good coverage either on the part of Dallas. They was 5 yards to go for that first down. The zone was setting up coverage at 7 yards. And you got to take Ricky Sanders.
First down Skins at the Dallas 35. 2 seconds left in the quarter. They just do get the play off. No, they don't. No, they don't. No play. End of the quarter.
Well, that was some quarter.
That was some understatement.
That's the end of the first quarter. The end of the quarter.
Jerry does everything but the station break. We'll do that. Back we come after this message and a word for ABC station. Emmett Smith, man you are looking at, 75-yard touchdown run to put Dallas in front as the second quarter commences. 1st and 10, Redskins at the Dallas 35-yard line. Monk split left, Sanders and Clark to the right, and they give it to Biner, and Biner runs right into Daniel Stubbs, the former 49er, who makes the hit. And we will take a look at the numbers through the first 15 minutes of play.
Well, a whole lot of offense there for the Dallas Cowboys, 162 yards. The one turnover, a very costly one. It gave Washington their 7 points. And you can see a pretty effective job by the defensive team of Dallas, but not so Washington.
Biner drops a screen pass. There's a scramble for the football, but it's simply an incomplete pass. Forget the rest of it.
Tony Talbert playing it very soft defensively and was right into it.
I think the crowd, I don't know if they were thinking he had possession of the ball before he fumbled it or what caused all the boos, but it was pretty obvious that he did not ever gain control of the football.
3rd down 10. Talking about that Redskin defense last week, they gave up just 154 yards total to Detroit, and you saw the numbers put up by the Dallas offense in the first quarter alone. 3rd and 10 from the 35. Griffin protected very well, and it's knocked down at the 28-yard line by Manny Hendricks, who cut in front of Art Monk to slash it away.
Ooh, Rippon was very, very lucky. Hendricks was lying back in that zone, and he almost got back into it. Gant now is providing the inside coverage. There you see the classic zone, and coming from the inside and almost getting the football was Manny Hendricks.
Boy, it looked like Mark Rippon was locked in to Art Monk the whole way. He came back out of the pocket and looked to the right side the entire time, and really, I think, moved the whole Dallas secondary that direction.
53-yard field goal attempt for Chip Lohmiller, and Lohmiller's kick is good, and that would have been good from about 58 or more.
From Oklahoma.
It cleared the crossbar by a bunch. You're right. That thing easily had another 5 yards on it. Everybody's pumped up in Dallas tonight, including Lohmiller. Look how much that thing cleared by. Great kick.
For Chip Lohmiller, an extra point, a 53-yard field goal, and 2 kickoffs that have not been returned. He'll kick off to Dixon and Wright. 14-10 Cowboys, 45 seconds into the second quarter. Bounces at the 6, fielded at the 2. This is James Dixon to the 30-yard line. Tackled by Hobbs. ABC
Holding number 59, receiving team. On the return, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Derek Brownlow, the rookie from Illinois. Poor Derek. I mean, what a way to make your national television debut. First time you get your name called. Holding, 59.
Well, he's been on national television some in his college career at Illinois. A great player, one of the better linebackers the Big Ten has seen in quite a while. But you're right, Al. Not the start he was looking for.
Pittman, too. They didn't get a chance to look at him because they were trying to settle their starters. He's lucky he made the team.
Speaking of rookies, Irvin Richards in the game for Dallas. The fake was to Richards, and Aikman then, with his receivers covered, takes it up to the 17-yard line. Marcus Cook makes the stop. And there is Charles Mann, the great longtime defensive end for the Skins. An isolated look here.
The team's best pass rusher and the best matchup of the evening, working against Nate Newton, and a great look of Mann getting Newton off balance and just shucking him. But again, Aikman pulls away.
He was locked in to number 81, Alexander Wright, and he was well covered by the Skins deep.
2nd and 8. Irvin Richards, number 27, a rookie from Pitt, comes out of the backfield. He's in a pattern, and the pass is caught by Darrell Johnston, the fullback, out at the 21. It's going to be 3rd and about 5. Here's a reminder, a great pair of college games coming your way. 3rd and 5 from the 21. Aikman fires to Novacek. His 4th catch of the night to the 38. First down, tackled by Collins.
Novacek again coming off absolutely free and clear, working deep downfield.
Well, Frank, you know you have to have
line of scrimmage some way.
Well, you have to have an understanding of zones to be this wide open. You have to know when to make your break and when to turn, and it's painfully obvious to the Redskins and everybody the Cowboys play that Jay Novacek has as fine a feeling of where the open spots in his zone are as any tight end in the league.
You got him in tight like that. You have to have somebody over him working on him.
Here's Darrell Johnston. It's a rare fullback carry for Dallas. That's not an integral part of their offense. He takes it to the 39-yard line with 11:45 to go in the half, and the Cowboys on top by 4. And a pretty hot start for that man.
You could say that.
Real hard.
Yeah, he had a streak going at one time against Cleveland. He was 10 of 12 and wound up not too shabby. 20 of 31, 220 yards.
2nd and 8. Emmitt Smith getting a breather. He's on the bench. So Irvin Richards, the rookie from Pittsburgh, the tailback in this I set. They fake to him. Aikman started to slip and then has his pass knocked down at the 50-yard line by Andre Collins.
Once again making a big play. Just good athleticism on his part to get in there and almost get an interception out of it.
You know, guys, one of the problems with this stadium, with this hole in the roof here, is that the field doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight. And when the field gets wet, it takes days for it to dry out. There are some wet portions down on the field, and Aikman that time slipped on one of the ones right there at the 30-yard line. Here's a good look at the field, and this place just doesn't dry out.
Cowboys averaging over 10 yards per play, and they need 8 here on 3rd down from the 40-yard line. Blitz is on, but he gets it away. It's caught by Irvin. His first catch of the game is good for a first down. Michael Irvin tackled by Darrell Green.
That's a lot of maturity on the part of Michael Irvin and quarterback Troy Aikman. The blitz right in Aikman's face. Man coming absolutely free. Irvin reads it with him, and he's able to deliver the pass for the first down. They load up. The Redskins do on the left side. Here's Andre Collins coming free. No one even touched him, and yet Aikman was able to get the ball to Irvin, who read it with him.
Yeah, and that's a great job of releasing from Darrell Green. But what about Aikman getting rid of that ball on his back foot like that? There's a little natural arm strength.
And an assist to Darrell Johnston, who picked up the safety blitz by Walton. First down, Dallas at the 50. To a wide open Novacek, and he's lucky it wasn't picked off. Novacek wide open, and the pass overthrown, and Brad Edwards couldn't hold it for the interception.
Now, he was so wide open, it almost looked like it might have slipped out of Aikman's hand.
It did look like it floated away, didn't it? I mean, it fluttered off.
Again, hardly anyone. Collins didn't even give him a little shove coming off. He's wide open, and the ball just flying, soaring over his head, and I'm sure that must have slipped out of Aikman's hand.
And this looked pretty catchable for Edwards. Let's see, maybe it wasn't his. Oh no, he should have had that. He should have had that.
2nd and 10 from the 50. Emmitt Smith is back in the game. He's the tailback and the ball carrier. Picks up 4 to the 46-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 6. Stopped by Williams and Mann. 10 minutes left in the half. Cowboys on top 14 to 10. Cowboys next to last in the league 2 years ago, last season, and tonight already 200 yards against the Redskins in a third of a game.
And they had 395 yards last week against Cleveland.
3rd and 6. They have to get to the 40, and they get to the 35-yard line on the catch by Alexander Wright. Here's a guy who's as fast as any receiver in the league, and if he can make the possession catches and get the secondary to come up, then sooner or later he's going to burn you very deep.
Aikman gave him a little signal. They've been working on Alexander Wright. They've been trying to, I think, build his confidence up as anything else. And that ball was thrown low. Wright came back, made a good catch on it, but they expect great things from Wright. They are just waiting for it to happen. He's a superb athlete. He has good hands. He knows the offense. And they are just waiting for him to explode into a star. Unbelievable speed. 4.14 for the 40.
First down from the 35. Aikman going for it all, and it is batted away in the end zone. Intended for the rookie Alvin Harper, and Martin Mayhew got back there with him, along with Brad Edwards.
That ball looked like it fluttered almost off of Aikman's hand, didn't it, Frank? I mean, the thing kind of went straight up in the air, and ends up Harper having to come back and wait for the ball. The ball just dies.
Harper's a 7-1 high jumper. He was at Tennessee, and I don't know whether that was by design or not. They tried it against Cleveland, doing him on a little fade. That ball just came out of Aikman's hand with a tremendous wobble on it.
That ball was quacking all the way down there. That's not the pass Aikman wanted to throw.
Second and 10, 8:40 to go. First half, Cowboys by 4. And it's a gain of about 3 for Curvin Richards, the rookie from Pittsburgh, and a guy who from time to time will have to spell Emmitt Smith.
Right now, the Redskins walking around and not showing a lot of enthusiasm defensively. When they make substitutions, the guys coming in walk onto the field, the guys going out walk out, and somebody on this defensive team needs to light a spark. Joe Gibbs needs somebody to make a big play and ignite this Redskin defense.
3rd and 7 from the 32-yard line. 12th play of this drive. Skins with a 3-man rush, and they left 8 back, and Aikman still gets it into Martin for a first down, tackled by Edwards.
Martin, leading receiver a year ago. He is the ball control receiver. Works well underneath the speed of Alexander Wright and Michael Irvin. Very dependable. He gets the first down. Of course, he mishandled that punt early in the game. It cost a touchdown. This one, Aikman fires right into the numbers, and the Cowboys get the first down.
As you say, Frank, he's almost the ultimate possession receiver. He caught 64 balls last year, no touchdowns. Almost unheard of. First and 10 at the 20. Aikman going for it all and looking for his man Novacek, but he was shadowed by Marshall, and he was out of bounds anyway.
Well, if you're going to lock up a linebacker on a tight end, why not have it be Wilbur Marshall, one of the great athletes that's ever played outside linebacker in this league? And Jay Novacek could have run from here to Fort Worth, and he's never going to lose Wilbur Marshall. Oh, that's just beautiful, and the only place that Aikman could put the ball is in an uncatchable place.
I wonder why we weren't seeing Emmitt Smith, and we've been looking with the binoculars along the bench, but now we understand that he is out of the game with an upset stomach, at least for the moment.
He started this drive on the bench, came in for a couple of plays, and he was out again. Second and 10 from the 21. Skins show blitz, and here they come, but they pick it up initially, and then Aikman steps up and takes it down to the 12-yard line. He got by Monty Coleman, and a marker is down.
Flag is down. Wilbur came in a little late.
If it's against the Redskins, it's a first down.
Oh, there's no question that Wilbur Marshall came flying in and put a hat in Aikman's back. Watch how long Aikman is on the ground when Wilbur Marshall come in from the left of your screen. Right there, and puts a shoulder right in the kidneys. Boy, and you can, the crowd.
Unnecessary roughness. Brings up number 58, defense.
The crowd here at Texas Stadium
To the goal,
saw it
first down.
at exactly the same time you did, so you heard their reaction.
They would have called this in slow motion as well, which actually looked a lot worse.
Against number 35, defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
And that's a second foul against Martin Mayu, illegal contact.
And that signal by Joe Gibbs might be circle the wagons, because we're under attack. This is a Redskin defense right now that looks frustrated, back on their heels, and being pushed around and outsmarted by the Cowboys offense.
And they're doing it without the key man right here. He is the offense. Number 22, Emmitt Smith. Upset stomach. We don't know when he'll be back.
First and goal at the 6. 6:35 to go in the half. 14-10 Dallas. Curvin Richards. A hard yard. Tim Johnson. Right there to make the stop. The initial hit anyway.
Well, right now, the Redskins defensively now, the key is dig in and force a field goal. And here comes Emmitt Smith back in the game.
We'd rather have him at the upset stomach than Curvin Richards, the rookie from Pitt.
But right now, a field goal would be a huge plus if you're a Redskin fan. A touchdown for Dallas means a whole lot of hooting and hollering.
And they better put a lasso around number 84, Jay Novacek.
A.G. and Smith at the back. We saw Willis, the place kicker. Second down goal from the 5. And Aikman throws, hits Emmitt Smith, and Smith breaks the tackle, scores. He just gave Alvin Walton an upset summit.
He was a star a year ago. He has just become something super and major here in Dallas tonight. Alvin Walton is the Redskins' leading tackler. He made the miss.
Willis for the point after. Texas Stadium erupting. 5:44 to go in the half. The Dallas Cowboys looking very much like the once and future American team. 21-10. Another long drive, 84 yards over 8.5 minutes.
That's what they did to Cleveland. They had the ball for 38 minutes plus against Cleveland. Their first 4 drives all wound up with scores, and they just picked up where they left off.
Here's Willis kicking off. Taken at the 1-yard line. This is Joe Johnson. Hit hard up at the 25-yard line by Darrell Johnston. Skins have it. 5:34 left in the half, and they trail by 11. In football since 1988, we get to town. It's a front-page story in both Dallas papers today, and what a night so far.
I was glad to be back. The tremendous excitement. That crowd absolutely went bonkers when Smith took it in for the touchdown.
All seems to be right in the NFL's world when the Cowboys and the Redskins are back on national television. even if the Cowboys putting a gun to the Redskins.
At the 25, the fake reverse to Monk, and then Monk on the receiving end. And Art picks up a first down, tackled by Manny Hendricks up at the 37-yard line.
You know, some plays are ugly in work, and some plays are just pretty in work, and that was a pretty play. I mean, that's one of those deals, like you have a stick and you draw it in the dirt. You start over here, come around this way, and I'll throw you the ball. That was a beautifully diagrammed and executed play, and a perfect pass by Mark Rippon to Art Monk.
He's caught a pass in 118 consecutive games. That much time left in the half. Dallas leading 21-10. Biner behind some great blocking. Well, I tell you, Slurette pulls out. Raleigh McKenzie pulls out. Orr helps to lead the way, and the result is a big Ernest Biner gain. 25
Slurette was all the way downfield with Biner.
Yeah, Orr, though, you mentioned Orr, Al. He's the guy that got the block right at the line of scrimmage. He's the motion man. There he is, 89. Watch this block upfield. Bam. He puts Jeffcoat right on the ground, and then everybody's around the corner.
First down, Skins at the 37. Rippon buys time with a roll, and lost one from Monk, who's open. Touchdown. Art Monk. In this man's illustrious career, this is the 19th game he's played against Dallas, and only the second time he scored a touchdown against the Cowboys.
He turned that one into a beauty. It was a well-thrown ball, but it hung up there. Rippon laid it up too high, and Horton came all the way from midfield from the zone. Great concentration on the part of Art Monk. There is Hope working against Monk. Now, Horton comes from midfield right into Monk's face. He keeps his eyes on the football all the way in. A superb play by a future Hall of Famer.
Chip Lohmiller for the point after.
Well, 3 things on that. 1, an astounding move by Monk. 2, Holt climbs all over it and gets sucked up into it. And 3, you're right, Ray Horton got there, but he got there 3 steps too late. He should have been there earlier. That's a skin touchdown.
Art Monk Superlatives just go on and on with him. And on the other side, Isaac Holt beaten last week by Webster Slaughter in Cleveland.
Blame that on Holt, though. I know he was anticipating better help from Ray Horton.
James Dixon fields the kick at the 5-yard line and brings it back up to the 23-yard line, where he is tackled by Danny Copeland.
Art Monk might have been saying to the guys on the sidelines, be nice to me and I'll show you this move.
Webster Slaughter did that against Holt last week for 6.
You're exactly right. That stutter step, he does a spin back to the inside and then downfield. That was a world-class move by a world-class receiver.
You know, he's very close to 10,000 career yards at this point. Mentioned, no question about a Hall of Fame spot for him. He's well over 720 receptions.
Look at that. 3 drives, 80, 80, and 84 yards.
At the 23-yard line on first down, Aikman. At the 29-yard line, no catch. Kelvin Martin took it off the ground. You know, to put that last graphic in its true perspective, last year, in 16 games, the entire season, the Cowboys had only 6 drives of 80 yards, and tonight in 1/2 against Washington, 3.
I keep bringing up the Cleveland game. Bill Belichick ought to feel a little bit better if he's watching tonight the way the Cowboys moved the ball against him. They're doing it against Washington the same way. They had 4 drives against Cleveland that were 11 plays or more. That's really ball control football.
2nd and 10 at the 24. Cowboys up by 4. On a delay, and he couldn't really get on track. Novacek was bottling up the area, and Monty Coleman with the tackle.
Here's a look over the shoulder of Jeff Bostick, the Redskins center, one of the original Hogs, and a guy now in his 12th year out of Clemson. His brother Joe was a teammate of mine in St. Louis, and there's another class act. This Redskin team is sprinkled with a lot of older players that know how to win, and Joe Gibbs always keeps those guys around.
Here's Aikman facing a 3rd down, and he is perfect tonight on 3rd down. 6 for 6, with 5 of them resulting in first downs. 3rd and 10. Aikman, and he has it dropped by Johnston, and then Johnston gets a little aloha from Monty Coleman. 4th down.
Johnson might have been thinking about Monty Coleman. He caught it before he caught it.
You know, I think back to that graphic where we showed Aikman was 6 for 6. Now he's 6 for 7. Wasn't it yesterday that the Cardinals beat Philadelphia and didn't convert a single 3rd down the entire game? Weren't they like 0 for 10?
Exactly.
And they end up winning a game, not converting a single 3rd down. Up to that point, Dallas had been perfect.
Brian Mitchell, who ran one back 69 yards for a touchdown last week against Detroit. Mike Saxon to kick. Saxon, the Dallas punter since 1985, booms one. His first kick of the night. Max Mitchell up to the 23 and a fumble and a loose ball. And the Redskins have it back at the 11. Alvoy Mays got back there. And there's a penalty flag. 53-yard punt. Jerry Markbright asking his back judge for some clarification against Washington.
Brian Mitchell, who we saw play quarterback, took one
Holding
look.
number 20, receiving team, during the kick, 10-yard penalty, first down, a post-possession foul.
You could see Mitchell come up and look at Kenneth Gant, who's coming right down at him. A classic look of taking his head up, looking at the guy coming at him, and not looking at the ball come into his arms. You got to give an assist to Kenneth Gant, the Cowboy defensive back, for pressuring Mitchell into that fumble.
The penalty was on Alvoy Mays, who made the recovery. So the Skins are back at their 7. 3:01 to go in the half. 21-17 Cowboys. Biner for a couple. Takes it to the 9. Tomorrow night, 3 of Hollywood's finest meet one of ABC's best. 2nd and 7 from the 10. Rippon airs it out for Sanders, who makes the catch at the 40 and takes it to the Cowboy 40-yard line.
I can't believe I'm watching this. We ought to buy a ticket to be here for this one.
Oh, that was a well-designed play. Sanders coming across the field, splitting the zone, him getting in between Holt and the strong safety James Washington. They were laying back in their zone, and Rippon fired it right between Holt and Washington in the arms of Sanders.
I don't know that you could actually throw a ball better than that, Frank. I mean, that is, if you were 2 feet away and just lobbed it over his shoulder, you couldn't have placed it any more perfectly than Mark Rippon threw that ball.
And it wasn't all that bad a coverage for zone coverage.
They rule him out at the 45. The Skins take it to the 2-minute warning. They have all of their timeouts remaining. It's 1st and 10 when we come back. 21-17 Cowboys.
Load there, Al.
Penn State 2-0.
Doesn't my mentor, Bo Schembechler, start next week on our college scoreboard show?
He does. This Saturday. 2 minutes to go in the half. First down from the 45-yard line, and on the end around again, it's Ricky Sanders. But he is wrapped up by Tony Casillas, who just never hit it off with the Falcons and vice versa. Cowboys pick him up, and he's won a spot in the starting lineup here.
Well, that was a great play by Casillas. He read that thing early, and then he goes straight down the line of scrimmage, and he beats Ricky Sanders there. That's a fine play by Tony Casillas.
Interesting. Jimmy Johnson goes all the way back to his high school days when he tried to recruit him to come to Oklahoma State. He has followed him that long, and when he became available, he grabbed him with a 2nd and 8th round pick.
2nd and 7. Rippon throws it away as everybody was covered. Biner was in the neighborhood, so was Monk, but they were both covered, and it will be 3rd down and 7 with 1:18 remaining in the half, and Jeffcoat that time put the pressure on.
No, Jim Jeffcoat, I mentioned a little earlier, was a guy whose job was in jeopardy during the preseason. He's working against Jim Lachey, and Lachey really blocks him well, but Rippon was forced to move out of the pocket going to the left and more or less ran into Jeffcoat. Del Rio came on the blitz. Jacoby picked him up and forced him out of there. That was really good blocking by Lachey.
3rd and 7 at the 43. Skins have to get it to the 35, and the pass is incomplete at the 36-yard line, intended for Biner. And so the Cowboys, after giving up the long pass to Sanders, the defense stiffens.
Those quick linebackers, and this man, Bill Bates, all over Biner coming out of the backfield. He had moved upfield, yardage for the 1st down, but he was well covered. Hendricks was there. Bates was there.
And Biner should have caught the ball.
Exactly. But I think he might have sensed he was in a crowd, and he was in a major crowd.
Kelly Goodburn to punt. Cowboys had a basic defensive set as if they were expecting a fake. And it's fair caught at the 11-yard line.
Glad to see
Alvin Walton.
Glad to see somebody field a punt cleanly tonight.
Oh, we have a moment to take. Ted Marcher-Broda, Marv Levy, Jim Kelly has been sensational in the first 2 games. 6 touchdown passes against the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday, including this one here as he throws the bomb to James Lofton, who can still do it in his advancing 30s, a 53-yard touchdown reception. But at the other end of Kelly's passes yesterday, the big man was Don Beebe, who caught 10 on the day. 4 times he got into the end zone, and the Bills rout Pittsburgh. Here, 1st down Dallas from the 11-yard line, and Emmett Smith takes it to the 13 with 1:01 remaining in the half. Meanwhile, the Bills have become the first team in league history with 500 or more yards in each of their first 2 games. Remember, last week they routed Miami. And the Cards yesterday, the first team since '71 with 6 or more takeaways in each of their first 2 games. They get 7 against the Rams, 6 against Philadelphia, and actually rout is not the word to use Buffalo against. And even
Miami,
more they edged them.
Even more impressive for the Bills. Now they did that against the Steelers, the #1 defensive team in the league a year ago.
Meanwhile, the Skins have taken a timeout here. The Redskins have Dallas pinned And if they can hold them, they'll get it back on a punt. 55 seconds remaining, and that enables us to show you a couple of highlights or lowlights if you're from New York of the Rams and the Giants yesterday. Jeff Hostetler, who went into the game unbeaten in his career as a starter, had all kinds of problems with that new Ram defense headed by Jeff Fisher, the former Philadelphia coordinator, and Robert Del Pino giving John Robinson the type of running he so dearly loves, the power running, and it was Del Pino who scored the Rams' only touchdown here on a 4th down play. And the Rams, big underdogs after the embarrassing loss to Phoenix, go to the Meadowlands, knock off the Giants 19-13. 2nd and 8 from the 13-yard line. Emmitt Smith goes nowhere. The Redskins will probably take another timeout, and they do. Bobby Wilson makes the stop, and he's an interesting story in as much as it's rare that the Redskins have a first-round draft choice, and even rarer, Dan, that they go for a defensive lineman in the first round.
I mean, this goes back to George Allen's days. The Redskins not having any #1 draft choice. It's almost a given that they don't have any, and this guy's going to turn out to be a good football player. He's not a real tall guy at 6'2", and really, by defensive line standards, really just average weight there with the 276. But he's got great quickness, good explosion, and he's going to work his way into the Redskins starting lineup, but probably not this year.
Jerry Jones, it's a great look at the Cowboy owner coming up at halftime.
Owner and general manager.
3rd and 9, Dallas from the 12-yard line. And this time they give it to Talieji. He doesn't go anywhere. He is stopped at the 10-yard line, and the Skins take their last time out. So the Redskins do exactly what they wanted to do. They'll force Dallas to kick. That's the good news. The bad news is they don't have a timeout when they get the ball back with 41 seconds remaining in the half.
But as you pointed out earlier, they'll have a man back on this punt that can bring it all the way back. And Brian Mitchell, he bobbled the
AFC. Except Buffalo, that I don't think is scared of anybody.
Mike Saxon to kick it from his end zone. Brian Mitchell stands at the 50-yard line. Fair catch at the 46-yard line. So the Skins have it there. And keep in mind, they also have Chip Lohmiller, who's already booted a 53-yard field goal tonight.
And he booted one a year ago, 56 yards. He hit 3 over 50 a year ago, but I think this one's going to be out of the question.
Well, the one he had from 53, guys, think back, that baby had a shot from 60. That thing had a shot of being good from 60 yards. It's kind of humid down here. The air is kind of heavy, but it really traveled.
Well, this one would have to be about 63.
Okay, here's Brian Mitchell. Let's see him follow this ball in. Well, you see again, he kind of left himself looking up.
First down from the 46, and here is Sanders, and he takes them into field goal range to the 29. Again, they cannot stop the clock with a timeout. Rippon can ground it if he desires at the 29. And he does. They don't want to get caught like Kansas City got caught at the end of that game with New Orleans yesterday.
Although they would like to be a little further down the field.
Well,
but
they can't.
And the only thing they can do is either throw a pass into the end zone or run a sideline pattern that is so close to the sideline that they are guaranteed of the receiver getting out of bounds, because there's no way that they could get their field goal team on here.
They're not going to risk it, though. They're going to bring the field goal team on. And they know they've got a good kicker.
Oh, and Rippon is furious. Mark Rippon is throwing a tantrum on the field.
Well, I wouldn't throw a tantrum with Joe Gibbs on the sidelines. When he makes a decision, you better go with it.
Oh, he is upset.
Meanwhile, it's a delay of game. The field goal unit was coming in. The offense was saying, you guys get off, and you rarely see this. You're right, with a Joe Gibbs coach team, they just cost themselves 5 yards.
Well, Mark Rippon wouldn't allow the offensive team to leave the field. He started waving the field goal team back off.
So instead of a 47-yard field goal, you're looking at a 52-yard field goal because of that.
I think that's a good indication of how emotional this rivalry is.
Rutledge gets it down, and the kick by Lohmiller, well, it doesn't matter.
Oh, give Rutledge a major assist. He scooped that right off the carpet. And no one is more relieved than Mark Rippon.
And Mark Rippon yelling and screaming at his teammates about what a great job they did.
Jeff Rutledge and Joe Gibbs only last night said he is a great holder.
Look at that.
Well, they made a profit out of Joe Gibbs.
That is as fine a look at a guy getting the ball down as I have ever seen. A sensational hold and sensational camera work to boot. That's beautiful, guys.
And not a bad kick.
No, not a bad kick. Lohmiller ate his not-to-be-named breakfast cereal this morning.
Oh, you can name it.
All right, he had his Wheaties.
Last time I saw a guy short hop a ball that well, his name was Ozzie Smith.
Oh, I know that hurts you to say that.
Yeah, it does. A lot.
Oh, the pain, the pain.
Field goal.
21-20, and Lohmiller booms one. Dixon from the goal line up to the 23, and that will stop the clock with 2 seconds remaining in the half. Last year, Lohmiller had a 53 and a 56-yard field goal on a Saturday night game in Indianapolis.
He did it in the same quarter, which tied an NFL record. 2 50-yarders in one quarter. Again, Jeff Rutledge with the sure hands.
Boy.
But then I used to kick a little bit, and there's nothing more important to a kicker than the holder. And they get paranoid if they think they're going to lose their holder, if the coach is going to change holders for them.
Well, you know what's so important? As you know, Frank, Lohmiller saw that it was a bad snap, but yet he's got to start his approach to the ball and hope that somehow Rutledge gets it in position by the time he gets there. That's real confidence.
You know, Pat Summerall, he just flat wouldn't kick without Charlie Connolly holding. They get attached to him. They're like a pacifier, a binky.
Half ends on a kneel down. How do you like it so far? 21-20.
Works for me.
We'll be back. Halftime activities after this message from the National Football League and a word from our ABC station. As Willis puts it in the air, and it's fielded up at the 14-yard line by Johnson. He brings it back to the 21-yard line. And the Redskins take possession at that point. Dallas on top 21-20. 3 long scoring drives for the Cowboys. The last time these teams had that sort of offensive first half, Landry's coaching the Cowboys, Lombardi's coaching the Redskins back in 1969. A game the Cowboys wound up winning 41-28. First down, Skins at the 22-yard line. Ernest Biner on the counter gap. Gets out to the 33-yard line, and that's a first down. Stopped by Holt and Del Rio. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by AT&T. First down, Redskins at their own 34-yard line. Biner coming up to check with Rippon.
Yeah, what's the count?
Yeah.
What's the play?
Monk goes in motion. Sanders slots himself on the left. Play clock down to 1, and they just do get it off. And Biner gets it to the 35-yard line, where Vincent Smith, the linebacker, 57, stops him.
By Jeff Wilson, the package secured by Vincent Smith.
Big numbers for the first half.
On both sides of the line.
Time of possession really favors Dallas, but again, as Frank talked about earlier, that's something they're going to strive to do in just about every game they play. But the Redskins, no stranger to that either. It's unusual for them to be on the bottom side of those numbers.
Gerald Riggs is in the game for the first time. He is offset in the running back spot, and Rippon on second down lost one too tall for Ricky Sanders. It'll be third down and 9 at the 35.
One of the rare blitzes you'll see from Dallas. They know that they can get beat so quickly and so fast by the Redskins. They handle the blitz so well with that offensive line we talked about all night long. They picked him up really well, and Rippon reads them really well. And they get it either to Sanders or to Gary Clark, and they're gone. At that time, they had the coverage, and Rippon had to throw it incomplete.
Third and 9, Washington from the 35-yard line. Brian Mitchell is in the game. Sanders in motion. Rippon, and that one is too high for Monk.
Yeah, that's Mark Rippon.
His hand.
Yeah, he's looking at his hand like the ball slipped out of his grasp, because, boy, that was well executed. Art Monk was wide open. That would have been a relatively easy first down for the Redskins. That ball just a good 2 feet high.
Working against rookie Larry Brown, and he was wide open, and Rippon didn't get it there.
Kelly Goodburn to punt. Kelvin Martin to receive. Fair catch at the 29-yard line. 36-yard punt and a first down for the Cowboys when we come back. 13:08 left in the third. Johnson's Cowboys on top by 1. It's leading 21-20. Cowboys have it for the first time in the second half at their own 29-yard line. And this half is going to begin with Emmitt Smith on the bench. He's been bothered by an upset stomach, though he has scored 2 touchdowns, and Pervin Richards is in the backfield alongside Tommy Agee. From the 29-yard line. Aikman protected well, and then it's bobbled and never had possession for Michael Irvin, incomplete.
Matt Millen on pass coverage. You don't see that very often. As a matter of fact, he didn't play very much last week against Detroit in their run and shoot. I talked to him just briefly as he came out of the tunnel tonight. Said he's going to get a little action tonight. He says, I hate their run and shoot.
Well, that's just a case where he sits back in that middle zone, and Irvin just crossed in front of him, and that makes him his man. Matt's forced to come up and make the play. That would have been an easy catch for Michael Irvin, and he doesn't normally mishandle that ball, but that's what he did there. That should have been caught.
2nd and 10 at the 29. Novacek in motion. He's caught 4 passes tonight. And there's his 5th. And he's wrapped up and loses the ball at the 32-yard line. And the Skins, Marcus Cook has it at the 29. And there's Marshall getting into it. And Jerry Markwright serving as a true referee.
Yeah, that was really ugly, a combination, as Novacek tried to come under Alfredo Roberts on a little screen and pick. And they never even got off the line of scrimmage.
John Giesick and Marshall getting into it.
There's got to be a question here about his forward progress. Was Jay Novacek stopped and thus making it a dead play? I've never seen an official signal. There it goes. That had to be one of the things they were talking about, because Novacek was wrapped up in a group of bodies and was no longer moving forward. That's what Jimmy Johnson was looking for. That's
not a well-executed play. Roberts is trying to get under, or Novacek is trying to get under Roberts, and they collided right at the line of scrimmage. And the Redskins just smothered Novacek.
Well, they just clawed the ball out of his hands. I think Monty Coleman is going to just rip it away.
Well, that's the old rule.
That's what he does.
First one in there makes the tackle, and the rest of them go for the football. The Redskins do it well.
Here's Ernest Biner on a sweep. And the Cowboys converge. Ken Norton is right there to put him down at the 28-yard line after a short game. The report we're getting from the Dallas bench is that Emmitt Smith and also the fullback Darrell Johnston treated at the half for dehydration, but both are expected to see action in the second half.
I'm glad we got that message. Something bothered me about not playing with an upset stomach. I looked at Dan, he looked at me, and dehydration is a whole different item. That could be very dangerous, and they obviously were treated, probably given fluids intravenously during the halftime.
2nd and 8 at the 28-yard line. Rippon's throw is incomplete. Intended for Gary Clark, who's been silent tonight. Manny Hendricks with the coverage.
I mean, Frank, you're right. That's what happens when you're dehydrated. They actually put an IV into one of the veins on your arm, and they take a bag of sugar water and that you see in a hospital, and they will squeeze it and actually force feed it into your vein. And I remember one time at halftime of a game, I got 3 bags in the locker room down in Tampa Bay, and you feel instantly better. Instantly better.
3-bag night, huh?
That's it.
That's the way I feel after a peppermint patty.
Yeah, well, you've got a couple bags on every night.
3rd and 9. Incomplete. Intended for Monk, and the pass was short. And back covering on the play is Robert Williams.
Cowboys came with a blitz, but it was late getting
it was a real bad blitz. I mean, that's Ray Horton started about a half hour late on this, but actually Rippon was under pressure, feeling the pressure, and from Jimmy Jones, but if he could have got this to Munt, it was 6 points. He knew he should have got it there, too.
Here's a 45-yard field goal attempt, which is a chip shot the way Lohmiller's going. Rutledge puts it down.
A chip shot?
He just proved it again. The way this guy's going, look out, Tom Dempsey. And that gives the Redskins the lead with 11:53 to go in the third quarter. Washington by a deuce. Washington has just moved ahead, 23-21. Lohmiller with 3 long field goals tonight and some booming kickoffs. Well, he is something.
Yeah, keep in mind, we're inside a partially domed stadium. Wind is not a factor in any of these kicks that you're seeing here tonight by Lohmiller. I mean, he is, I don't know what happened on the flight down here from Washington, but it certainly has made him a happy man. Being congratulated there by Wayne Sevier, the special teams coach of the Redskins. Justifiably so.
Well, what an edge that is when you can put that ball through the end zone and gives your special teams players who play on most of the special teams, gives them a little breather.
Emmett Smith is back in the game, along with Darrell Johnston, the fullback. First down at the 20-yard line. And Emmett Smith picks up 2, knocked down by Marshall. 2nd and 8.
Wilbur Marshall has picked up the pace. A guy who has missed a couple tackles in the first half has come out blazing here in the second half. Involved in a crucial play on Dallas's first possession, and this is a big-time crunch that he puts on Emmitt Smith right there. Now this is what you expect out of a guy who's been in the league for 8 years and has been a Pro Bowl player. He's stepping to the line and saying, "Follow me, guys. I'm going to show you how to do it."
One former Gator put the bite on another on that last play. 2nd and 8 from the 22-yard line. Smith makes the catch at the 25 and gets the first down.
Well, I don't know whether we have that all, but Wilbur Marshall was shadowing Emmitt Smith in the backfield. His eyes looked locked in with Emmitt Smith at the snap of the ball. He never left him, and it was Emmitt Smith just kept working and kept working. Aikman was able to get the ball. Now watch. Wilbur Marshall is going to be looking right at Emmitt Smith. Now, Aikman has rolled out. He's still staying with Smith. He stays with this Smith. Now he leaves him, and all of a sudden Aikman comes back to Smith, and Smith makes a big play.
He slips on one of those wet spots on the field. Wilbur tried to react and move back to his left and slipped and fell.
1st and 10 Dallas at the 33. Aikman slings it out. Smith again. To the 40.
Boy, that's nice. That is real nice. What a spin back to the inside by Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, they're a different offensive team with Emmitt Smith in there, no question.
I mean, this is just beautiful. Watch it.
Shades of Tony Dorsett again.
Oh, that's nice.
2nd and 3 at the 40, 9:40 to play, 3rd quarter. Washington leading by 2. Smith needs 3, gets about a half a yard to the 41. Millen makes the stop, and it will be 3rd and about 2.
This is a Redskin defensive team that is now playing with a great deal more intensity. Where they were catching Dallas offensively and being ridden off the line of scrimmage, these are the guys now that are initiating the contact. A lot of the action now is taking place on Dallas's side of the football.
3rd and 2. White and Irvin both split to the left. And Smith, but a flag goes down before the play.
That usually signals a false start of some kind.
False start. Prior to the snap, number 63, offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Giesecke's move is going to create 3rd and 7.
Oh, it was one of the most subtle moves, but nevertheless, it was just a little lifting of the body, and it brought the flag.
Brings it back to the 36-yard line. And so instead of the double tight end set they came up with the last time, they have 3 wide receivers. And Novacek lined up in the backfield. And Aikman goes down at the 23-yard line on the blitz by Sidney Johnson. The corner blitz, and they nail Aikman.
That was well timed. Where we saw Dallas run a poorly timed blitz, this was really well timed. Sidney Johnson, a corner, didn't come off the corner though. See him, number 45, he comes right between the right guard and the right tackle. Everyone's occupied. I mean, that's simply a case there aren't enough guys in white shirts to block everybody.
Exactly.
Great call that time by Richie Pettibone.
Just an overload of that left side. And they dropped Charles Mann off in case Aikman was able to get the football off to a back.
Mike Saxon to kick. Joe Johnson is back. 41-yard kick. And it's Brian Mitchell running it out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Run out by Vincent Smith. Good run back. Sets the Redskins up in Cowboy territory to the chagrin of Jimmy Johnson. 7:50 to go on the third. Well, a very big series coming up here for the Cowboys defensively as Washington has it at the Dallas 42-yard line, first down.
And they begin to show the muscle that they have, the Redskins.
Redskins lead by 2, 7:50 to go, third quarter. Rippon, nice play fake. And then throws for Monk, and off his hands, and Isaac Holt comes up with a football.
Redskins came out looking to go deep for Gary Clark. He was picked up double covered deep, and Rippon had to come off. Tried to squeeze one in. The dangerous pass to Monk, and the turnover. There's Holt all over Monk. Now, he was not the prime receiver. Gary Clark was on a fly. They were looking for 6 big ones.
That ball looked like it came up off of Art Monk's feet.
It did.
Isaac Holt. Let's follow the path of this ball.
Then he made the tackle with his feet.
Oh, it actually hit Holt on the hip. And then Art Monk does a little kung fu act and brings down Holt.
Which is illegal, but it went undetected, and Aikman goes deep for the rookie Harper. He makes the catch at the 35.
Harper's the high jumper.
Well, you talk about a turnaround. There is Dallas having to dig in their heels, hoping the Redskins don't put 30 points on the board. And look at this, 2 plays later, they're the one in Redskins territory.
Harper's 6'3", Mayhew is 5'8". A mismatch in itself, but Harper is a 7'1" high jumper.
He's got this ball on his shoulder pad, Frank. Look at this.
Great effort.
Look at that.
That's his first professional catch. In style, 29-yard gain. First down at the 35, and the pass is caught by Novacek, and he gets ripped by Wilbur Marshall.
Oh, he whipsawed.
This is just beautiful work by Wilbur Marshall. Great concentration by Novacek, catching a short pass like that, knowing he's going to get hit. But Wilbur Marshall, just floating 2 or 3 yards behind him, comes up and puts as solid an open field tackle on a guy as you're ever going to see. There's the float pass here to Novacek, but watch how solid this tackle is. Driving him backwards, and wow, good work by Wilbur.
And Eric Williams finished it off.
Gain of 2, second and 8. Aikman throws low, intended for the high jumper Harper. Third down and 8.
Aikman just had to get rid of that football. Jim Johnson right in his face. Harper was running some kind of deep pattern and not in tune with the quarterback whatsoever, and Aikman tried to get it to him, but Aikman was lucky he even got rid of it.
Johnson's one of those guys that's really worked out well for Washington. Starting in there at defensive tackle, they gave up a 4th-round draft choice to Pittsburgh to get him last year, and old stalwarts like Darrell Brandt are gone, and New guys like Eric Williams and Tim Johnson are now the tackles of record in Washington.
Third down and 8 at the 33-yard line as Aikman retreats, pump fakes, goes deep for Irvin, and it's broken up by Darrell Green. All-pro Darrell Green.
Now, Green only goes 5'8", but he plays about 6'8". Big game against Detroit. Really set the tone there. Here he is working against Irvin. Good position on the outside. He has that unbelievable speed. He lets Irvin get by him just a little bit, knowing full well that he can recover.
Put that in the training manual.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's how you play cornerback.
2 interceptions last week against Detroit, his 25th and 26th.
Here's a 51-yard field goal attempt by Ken Willis, who kicked one 54 with the wind in Cleveland last week. Novacek puts it down, and Willis's kick is good. Willis answers Lohmiller, and that gives Dallas the lead again.
Plenty of room to spare. Dallas was looking at Washington leading by more than a touchdown. Now they lead.
Report from the bench, back spasms. Not certain he'll be back in. Alvin Walton is also gone for the night to safety with a bruised shoulder. So the Skins getting banged up. Dallas has the lead, and Willis's kick is fielded at the goal line by Joe Johnson. Pounded down at the 14-yard line. It was Derek Brownlow, and we mentioned before the first time he gets a call on national TV is for a penalty, and then he comes back and atones for it.
Certainly does.
He played so great for Illinois. He's only 5'10" and 245 pounds, but they couldn't figure out, well, how he could do what he did, and he just kept doing it game after game, and the Cowboys brought him in, took a long look at him, drafted him in the 5th round, and he's turned into a big hitter on special teams, and also played well when he got a chance in preseason a linebacker.
Here's Biner picking up a couple. Now the Skins are banged up front. Jacoby is not in there, so Raleigh McKenzie is in Joe's left guard position, and Ed Simmons was being worked on, and he is on the bench, and Mark Addix replaces him. So the Redskins are fortunate they are so deep on that offensive line.
But Al, that's about it, too.
Well, no, they still have one more player, and that's the great Russ Grimm, who's still, but he's their last offensive lineman. Grimm's the only one they have left.
Rippon with 2 contrasting halves. 2nd down and 7 from the 18-yard line. Biner again up to the 23-yard line. It's going to be 3rd and 2. Casillas makes the tackle. 5:05 remaining, 3rd quarter. Cowboys on top, 24-23.
There's a man extremely bitter about his time spent in Atlanta, Georgia, and has absolutely nothing good to say about the Atlanta organization and Jerry Glanville. He could not be happier to be here in Dallas.
6 years in the league, first time he's been on Monday Night Football. From the 23, Rippon up to the 26-yard line, and it's Ernest Biner who makes the catch, and his forward progress does give him the first down as Vincent pushed him back, but he did get to the 26-yard line.
Biner had a big game last week against Detroit. He's really turned into the offense, replaced Ernest Riggs Gerald Riggs at that running back. He's also a good receiver coming out of there, and he threw a touchdown pass a week ago. Over 1,200 yards rushing a year ago, and it had been, what, 5 years since he did that for Cleveland?
1985 when he and Kevin Mack each rushed for over 1,000 yards. From the 26, Rippon hits Monk. He gets it to the 34. It's going to be 2nd and 3. Norton and Washington on the hit.
See, there's a perfect look at the Dallas defensive strategy. They'll sit back in that soft zone. They invite you to catch that 5 or 6 yard pass, and then more than one guy is going to hit you. And there was a good look at Monk with over 10,000 yards, but there was a good look. He paid for it. He caught the ball and got stamped by 3 Cowboys.
Milestone reception right there. The 8th man to go into 5 figures. 2nd and 3. Ripping a short drop and a fake to Monk. And then there's a flag down as Casillas is there.
I think they're going to get him for throwing it away. Well, we did have Monk very close to him, but they're going to call Rippon for throwing the football away, and Monk was in his line of sight, and Rippon is complaining. I think he just drilled it into the carpet, though.
If you get rid of the football to evade a sack, it is intentional grounding. And it sure looked like Mark Rippon just threw the ball into the ground. I mean, a look at it again. Here comes Tolbert with the initial pressure, and there is really no other way that Jerry Markbright can interpret Rippon's throwing the ball into the ground than to call what he did.
When you see it slow motion, there's no question about it. He got rid of it as he was going to be sacked.
And they're realigning the down and distance here.
It was actually that Ernest Biner, number 21, who was in his line of vision, and I think he saw that Biner was going to be covered, and he just drilled it right into the carpet.
I mean, the ball only landed like 2 yards in front of Rippon. I bet.
They bring it back to the 24. It's going to be 3rd down and 12. Rippon. Incomplete up at the 34-yard line. Wouldn't have been a first down anyway. Gary Clark, and they've been doing a number on him tonight. He has been silent. Robert Williams, but a flag is down and a personal foul on Dallas.
And that should be a first down.
Mark Bright's mic is not working clearly.
Well, Mark Rippon takes a tremendous shot. Watch the left side of the screen. Okay, let's watch the right side, Kenny Wolf tells us. Where is this coming from? There goes Jeffcoat by. All right, there's the shot from the right side. Is that Dan Stubbs? Yeah. That was number 96, Danny Stubbs. And he's being talked to right now by his college coach, Jimmy Johnson. Stubbs in his 4th year from the University of Miami.
For Dallas, what a terrible time to get that call.
Big, big play. 39-yard line. Here's Ricky Sanders. Ahead for 7 to the 46-yard line. Vincent Smith makes the stop with 2:50 to go, 3rd quarter, and the Cowboys on top by 1 point.
Danny Stubbs was in the doghouse for staying out of camp almost the entire preseason, and he sort of stayed in the doghouse with Jimmy Johnson until late in the Cleveland game, and they brought him in late, and he performed really well.
Yeah, he got in on a sack at the end of that game, but this penalty here wipes that sack off the book.
2nd and 3. And Biner stopped in the backfield.
Oh, what a great blitz by Ken Norton. Ken Norton just timed that blitz beautifully, and boy, did he disrupt things. He gets in there and takes 2 Cowboys with him.
Norton playing on the opposite side from where he played last year. He played weak side until he was injured last year. Now he's over on the strong side. A lot of speed and
51. He really messes that play up, forces Biner to spin all the way around.
3rd and 5 from the 44. Rippon throws, but it's not a first down. The catch is made by Sanders, but Ricky didn't get to the marker. Run out by Larry Brown, and it's 4th down. And the Redskins have to punt.
4th down.
Now that play designed all the way to go to Ricky Sanders. Rippon looks at him from the get-go. He has no choice but to throw it to him, but that's Sanders' responsibility. to run a pattern that gets him beyond the chains.
And Larry Brown, the rookie 12th round draft pick, was giving him enough room to do so. Oh, a fake punt, and the Skins are going to get the first.
Brian Mitchell is the guy with the football. And Brian Mitchell has picked up the first down for Washington.
He goes right up and takes the snap under center.
Brian Mitchell was a running quarterback in college at Southwest Louisiana. We saw him last year against Philadelphia when all the quarterbacks went down to the Redskins, and he stepped right up and took the snap. Nothing fancy about it. Cowboys were down and getting ready to come on the punt rush. They didn't even see him.
There's Mitchell, number 30, right there. Just takes the snap like a quarterback. He's right there.
That's pretty foxy.
At the 49-yard line. Here's Riggs to the 43. Boy, it's a beautiful time to try to catch the other team napping. The special teams comes in. They figure the defense has just made a nice play to hold them.
You know, now if they see him really early, really quickly, he just steps back and they snap the ball and they punt it.
Yep.
Well designed.
So at the 43, it is second down and 4. 24-23 Dallas with 17 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
They're going to let the final seconds tick off. Rippon is already over, getting ready to confer with Joe Gibbs.
They can, because the play clock trails the game clock by 1 second. And so that's the end of the third quarter in a beauty from Texas Stadium. Cowboys 24, Redskins 23. Jimmy Johnson complaining to the line judge. And then some. Back we come with the fourth after this from our ABC station. Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf. The Redskins down by a point as we start the fourth quarter. Their current drive has taken them from the 15-yard line to the Dallas 43, where the fourth quarter begins.
Ed Simmons, Al, their tackle, has a knee sprain. His status is uncertain. So Jim Hannafin, the offensive line coach of the Redskins, having to do some serious juggling and may have to do so for the balance of the game.
Think back to last night what Joe Gibbs said about this offensive line, though, Dan. He said, we've never been in this position since I've been here. And there's Jim Hannafin, former coach for you, Dan, former head coach of the Cardinals. But he's doing some juggling. But Joe Gibbs told us last night, he said, this offensive line is the kind of line that's interchangeable. I can bring guys off the bench, and I know I'm going to get the job done. So that's what he's having to do tonight.
Second and 4 at the 43-yard line. Great protection. And a first down as Terry Orr makes his first catch of the night, and a Cowboy, Ray Horton, who made the hit, goes sprawling and is still down.
Well, I'll tell you, that is a great catch by Terry Orr. He knew he was going to get popped, and he did.
And he did.
And just to keep your arms around that football is something kind of special. Concentrates and tucks it away, completely upended, and still hangs on to the football.
Manhood is measured in many ways. That's one of them. Only real men need apply to catch that pattern.
Tough over the middle.
First and 10 at the 20-yard line. Here is Biner. No, sir. Jeffcoat is there. Noonan is there. No gain. And we'll take a look at the numbers through 45 minutes of play, with the Cowboys on top 24-23. And here they are.
I like our pretty little graphic we put in. Numbers leap out at you. What great numbers they are offensively tonight.
Very even.
Well, you can see, though, that the third quarter didn't compile the kind of numbers that they did in either one of the first two. Nonetheless, points were scored.
Second and 9, and the catch is made by Clark for the first down, and he gets to the 1-yard line. Stopped by Horton, and so Gary Clark, who's been a quiet man tonight, and that's news in itself, gives them a first and goal.
You know, Alan, Dan, I've looked at a lot of video of the Redskins and have seen them play a lot. I think I haven't seen that formation. There are 3 men stacked on the right side, and almost assured that Gary Clark was going to be able to find that soft spot in that zone.
Well,
there were two wingbacks and a tight end over on the right side, and Gary Clark split to the left all by his lonesome.
As you know, Frank, Joe Gibbs never goes into a game without showing
Always got a
new look or a new formation. I mean, every week a new one.
And no one does it better. They get prepared for a game as good as anyone.
Gerald Riggs is the running back, and Gerald Riggs scores. Gerald Riggs, formerly the heavy-duty back, and now the short yardage specialist for the Skins, puts Washington back ahead.
Well, Jim Lachey, number 79, the left tackle, puts on a sensational block at the point of attack. He takes number 97, Jimmy Jones, all the way out of the play, and Gerald Riggs, at 240 pounds, just bulldozes in there. Here's Lachey, the All-American from Ohio State.
Lohmiller for the point after. Key play, you go back to the fake punt. The snap taken by Mitchell and a first down, and in go the Skins to go up by 6. News, there was a press conference in San Francisco today in regard to Joe Montana, and the 49er physician acknowledges that surgery is possible if Montana's torn tendon, and they've admitted now it's a torn tendon, does not respond. No firm decision has been made, but the news clearly not very good. Meanwhile, very bad news for the Niners. Brent Jones, the great tight end, knee surgery, out for 8 to 10 weeks. And the Falcons signed the longtime Seahawk place kicker Norm Johnson to replace Brad Dalwiso. 30 to 24 Redskins. Lohmiller to kick off. Dixon at the 1-yard line. Dixon back out to the 23, stopped by Mitchell.
I was thinking of Norm Johnson going from Chuck Knox to Jerry Glanville. What a social shock that's going to be.
There's Ed Simmons on the sideline. You can see his knee is iced and wrapped up. I think we can take his status from uncertain to he will not return. Doesn't look like Simmons will be back in this game.
And when you consider that play of Reagan's over the left side over Lachey, it should not have been any surprise to anyone.
No, Lachey's the money guy. They'll go after him.
Meanwhile, they are hurting defensively as well. Remember, Alvin Walton, the safety, is out. Danny Copeland takes his spot. And Aikman swings it out to Emmett Smith. And Martin Mayhew brings him down. That's the 24-yard line as he cannot escape his grasp. Second down and call it 9. There is Alvin Walton, the hard-hitting, strong safety.
What the Redskins have done well tonight defensively is keep Emmett Smith from popping something big on those little flares, those little checkoff patterns. They've had a shadow on him in most cases, and if not, they've kept the defensive back with him.
30-24, Redskins on top. Second and 9. Intercepted on a misjudged route. Darrell Johnson was the intended receiver, but nowhere in the area, and Danny Copeland was there, couldn't get it.
Johnson was trying to run a pick underneath Michael Irvin, and Troy Aikman almost got one picked off into the end zone by the Skins.
Well, I think Johnston had to realize that there was a blitz on and break that thing off a little quicker. That certainly appears that's what Troy Aikman was expecting.
That blitz came in the form of Kurt Gouveia.
Yeah.
Third and 9 at the 24-yard line. 11:51 left, fourth quarter. Aikman, flag thrown, and it's knocked away by Green, intended for Irvin, but a flag is thrown.
But another great play by cornerback Darrell Green.
It won't count because they'll take the holding penalty, but you're right,
You ought to slip it in the highlights because, again, it was textbook cornerback.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 66, offense. Penalty is declined. Fourth down.
Kevin Gogan. And so it's fourth down. And Mike Saxon to punt. Brian Mitchell. Mentioned before, a 69-yard punt return for a touchdown last week. To yards up at his own 35. Fair catch at the 37-yard line. 39-yard kick. 11:37 remaining in the fourth. Washington has the ball and a 6-point advantage. Championship's on a Super Saturday on ABC. Ernest Biner begins this drive by picking up 9 yards up to the 47-yard line, stopped by Tony Tolbert.
That's the muscle we were talking about a little earlier. The Redskins beginning to hammer now the smaller Dallas team.
Well, we talked about that last Washington drive, and that's the difference right now is they're up by 6. The fake punt, Brian Mitchell. Also, you go back, another key play was that Dan Stubbs personal foul.
Kept that drive alive. On a 3rd down.
And if Washington wins, that's the story of the game right now. As they pick up the first down, getting to the 50, Ernest Biner plowing straight ahead.
And as the Redskins start to move it much more easily on the ground, that will make everything else work a lot more easily for them too. They do a lot now with ripping off play action, a lot of short, almost a moving pocket type of offense. They use him on rollouts, they use him on bootlegs, but you got to get the running game going before the fake run is going to make it work.
First and 10 at the 50, 10:25 left in regulation. Washington up by 6.
Jeffco was lined up off sides again. That'll be twice tonight he's been lined up off sides.
Well, the flag was thrown.
He was lined up off sides. Ordinarily, Dan, don't they tell you to get back early in the game, and then after that, it's up to you.
Defense.
You'll
Lined
get
up in the neutral zone.
You'll get a warning. Here's Jeffcoat right here again. Here's this neutral zone, and look at his helmet right here. He's well into it. I mean, our camera is right on the line of scrimmage, and Jeffcoat's entire helmet was in the neutral zone. Frank, they'll tell you if you're crowding the ball, but if you're lined up in the neutral zone, that official has no responsibility to tell you to get out.
First and 5. Biner swings to the outside, gets by Del Rio, picks up the first down.
Smart play there by James Washington, pulling up. If he'd have gone ahead and hit Ernest Biner right there on the out of bounds, that'd have been a certain 15-yard penalty against the Cowboys. That's a smart heads-up play by a guy. You got to know when to hit a guy. You got to know when to pull up. Watch Biner here. He gets to the sideline. Now he's going to jump out, and that's pulling up. That's, believe me, when you got shoulder pads on, that is incidental contact. That's nothing.
From the 38-yard line, Biner again for 4 as Washington takes as much time off the clock as they can. Del Rio and Norton in on the stop.
Yeah, they've just been hammering and hammering, and they're starting to wear the Cowboys down. The Cowboys are not big. They're trying to get bigger because I know they have to compete in the NFC Eastern Division where the Giants are bullies in their own way in terms of size. They have to go against Philadelphia. They're big defensively. But, I mean, it's just hard to build that kind of personnel. And they are just getting hammered by the Redskins at this point.
Second and 6, under 9 minutes to go. Rippon on an out to Monk. Holt takes him down, and he is 3 yards short of the first down. Third down play coming up.
Frank, you are a receiver. You think any set of receivers in the NFL comes back to the football better than this trio of the Redskins?
No, they're remarkable, and they proved it. I mean, their numbers over the past, I think, since Ricky Sanders came in 1986, they've had 38 100-yard games between them, or something like that. It's just remarkable. And what they really do well, Dan, is run after they catch the football. They can turn a 5-yard hitch into a 60-yard touchdown, and they do it all the time.
Third and a long 2. And they get that long 2 and a few more as Gary Clark has a first down at the 20-yard line. So they keep the ball, keep the drive going, and keep the clock running. Under 8 minutes to play.
I was talking with Hall of Famer Bobby Mitchell. He used to be a receiver for these Redskins, and of course is on their staff now. But talking about Gary Clark, he says he never has to crank it up. He's always ready to go. He could go a half a football game and not catch a football, but you know every time you go to him, it's going to be 100%. A lot of receivers aren't like that. They sort of pout a little bit if they don't get it all the time, but not Gary Clark.
The G-Man. I guess that's so we know who he is if he's upside down.
He's 48 if he's upside down. Here's Biner.
You're so picky.
Gain of 1.
I meant if he's turned upside down and that's all that's sticking out of the pile.
Okay.
Take everything so literally.
Boys.
This is a take control, take charge type of drive right now underway by the Washington offensive team.
Yeah, this is what the Redskins had in mind, along with Joe Gibbs when they came into this game, but the Cowboys kind of took it away from them. If you were with us earlier, you saw a lot of explosive offense from the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas right now is in need of somebody making a big play.
2nd and 9, and here's Gerald Riggs to about the 17, so another big 3rd down play coming up for Washington. But this drive, even if it bogs down here, will be a fruitful one as one of the Cowboys comes off. That's Jimmy Jones. It's a fruitful drive for Washington in as much as this is an easy field goal attempt for Lohmiller and a 9-point lead at worst.
That'll put the Cowboys into a 2-score position. And they have not been that effective here in the second half.
Cowboy coaches look on 3rd down and 7 from the 17-yard line. Rip, he gets pressured and down he goes, and there's a flag down.
A great time for a sack.
I mean, what a defensive charge by Danny Noonan. Boy, did he roll back some people on his way to the quarterback.
Line judge made the call against Washington.
Sack works and the penalty works for the Cowboys.
Holding number 87, offense, penalty decline, 4th down.
Yeah, Lohmiller will still come out. It just will stretch it out a little bit for him.
Well, that's Ron Middleton, the tight end, who's actually called for the hold. Take a look at the right side of your screen here. There's Middleton. Oh, yeah, he grabs the back of the jersey.
Now a 46-yard field goal attempt for Lohmiller. He is something else.
That would have gone 60.
Oh. He's made them from 53, 52, 45, and 46, and all of them would have been good from at least 55. All of them.
Why hit your sand wedge when you can hit your driver that accurately?
He's the John Daly of kickers. We want to pass along, if you've not heard, Mike Tyson was indicted today on charges of raping a teenage beauty pageant contestant in Indianapolis early this summer. If convicted, he'd face a maximum sentence of 63 years in prison, but the 4-count indictment will not affect his fight with Holyfield on November 8th. He was indicted on 1 count of rape, 2 counts of criminal deviant conduct, and 1 count of confinement. So that was earlier today in Indianapolis regarding Mike Tyson. Here, Texas Stadium in Irving, 9-point skin lead, and Lohmiller continues. And he just did get that one into the end zone before it went out of bounds. Touchback.
I mean, that is the perfect kick. It goes into the end zone and yet out the side, so no chance of returning that.
Oh, what a night he's had. Look at that.
53, 52, 45, and 46. You better smile, Chip.
That's a Hall of Fame night. And it comes in a year in which the first pure place kicker was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Jan Stenerud. Meanwhile, Danny Copeland has just been helped off the field. There he is. And that's a big injury because Walton's already out. Copeland had taken Walton's spot at one safety position. So Alvoid Mays now comes in. They've got Mays back there with Mayu, Green, and Johnson in the secondary. down Cowboys from the 20-yard line. Aikman for Novacek, and it's broken up and nearly picked off. Monty Coleman with beautiful coverage, and then Mayu almost had the interception.
Monty Coleman finally corralled Novacek. Monty Coleman, one thing he does so well is pass coverage. Last week against Detroit, he played in the Nichols defense in place of Matt Millen, the middle linebacker, but he has been known throughout his entire career, and it's been a tremendous career as a good pass defender. He has good speed, good instincts about it, and he makes a great play right there.
2nd and 10 at the 20-yard line. 5:28 to go in regulation. Washington by 9. Novacek again makes the catch and holds on despite the hit by Alvoid Mays.
Cowboys going, how is that possible? How can I hit a guy the exact moment the ball arrives and he still holds on to it? Dallas dispensing with the huddle.
3rd and 6 from the 24. And this is Smith who stumbles, and he is stopped short of the first down. Nice play in the secondary. Monty Coleman made sure, and Coleman's been around long enough to know exactly how far Smith had to get for that first down, and he made sure he didn't get there.
Another good play by Monty Coleman, who was a rookie when Jack Pardee was coaching this team.
Well, Dallas doesn't have much choice but to go for it here on 4th down. They need 2 scores to take the lead with 4.5 minutes left, and not much of a decision here. You have to go for it.
Well, the Cowboys began the evening with a big 4th down conversion that led to a touchdown, and now they need one to really stay in the game. 4th and 1. And Aikman finds Irvin. First down at the 36.
And he goes out of bounds and stops the clock as well.
Good move by Irvin. He could have maybe got a few more yards out of it. Why not stop the clock?
And it's a good time to stop the clock, because when you go out of bounds under the rules that came in last year, inside 5 minutes remaining in the game, the clock gets stopped.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Great point, Al. You know what? What are your guys, what's your assessment of Troy Aikman so far? I mean, this guy has been on the money throwing the ball to just that pattern there, I think, is indicative how far this guy's come along.
Made some big plays from the 36-yard line. All of a sudden, Aikman winds up getting sacked as we sing his praises, and Fred Stokes is right there.
Oh, did he get hit hard?
Still doesn't change the fact that you're looking at, if this Dallas team continues to grow around him, at one of the future greats in this league, I think. I like the way he played a year ago. Now with shoulder surgery and elbow surgery in the offseason, he's even better.
2nd and 18, and he bullets one to the 40-yard line to Kelvin Martin. Fired it in there. It's going to be 3rd and about 6. Edwards and Mays on the tackle.
But that's a smart play. Just get part of it back. Don't try to get the whole distance at once. You left yourself 3rd and a reasonable amount.
Going to 3rd and 5 from the 41-yard line. Pump fake, goes deep for Irvin, but he's covered beautifully, and it's intercepted but out of bounds by Mayu, so it's simply an incompletion.
And Mayu played that so well. He got right in the stride, right in front of Irvin. Irvin had nowhere to go, stepped on Mayu, who was looking back for the ball. They're not going to get a flag on that, and Mayu makes another good play. Now, he's the other cornerback, but he's a good cornerback, a real good one. What did Joe Gibbs say last night? He said, I'll go to war with him.
I mean, this is a guy that's only 5'8", 172 pounds, and look at that guy catching the back quarter of the football.
Here's another 4th down play. 4th and 5 from the 41. Martin in motion. And the receiver fell down. And they turned the ball over. It was Martin who slips down, giving the Cowboys no chance, and now they give up the ball, and they'll have to take their timeouts on defense.
He tripped over Jay Novacek. He's trying to break off behind him to pick up the 4 yards, and he tripped over his own receiver, Jay Novacek. Now, there's Novacek right in front of him as Martin tries to break to the outside, and down he goes.
And Aikman had no chance because Sidney Johnson, number 45, came on a safety blitz, and Aikman had no opportunity to look off to a secondary receiver.
Did you see Monty Coleman was holding up Novacek. They've been bumping and keeping Novacek out of the pattern as much as they could here in the second half. And that time it was very effective. They held him up, and it caused the intended receiver Martin to trip.
This drive will be Washington on the ground, and Dallas calling timeout as Minor takes it to the 34-yard line. That's a gain of 7. A 7-yard gain on first down puts the defense in a precarious position. It precludes you calling a timeout now. A 2-yard gain, and you start calling them here on 7, you really run a risk.
Exactly right.
Second and 3.
But Dallas is about out of options. They're going to have to start stopping the clock.
Yep.
Still faced with needing 2 scores. Jimmy Johnson doesn't have much choice.
He has all of his timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. And Washington, of course, will run that play clock all the way down now. Game clock shows 2:40. Second and 3. Riggs to the 30-yard line. And his forward progress, I believe, is enough to get him the first down. Let's wait and see, though.
Gerald Riggs just takes a couple Cowboys along for the ride. Jumpy Geathers, not Jumpy Geathers, he plays for Washington. Let's try Jimmy Jones.
He's good. He can play for both.
Let's try Jimmy Jones and Jeffcoat. See, that's what happens when you don't flip your chart. You get 97 for the wrong team.
And also, that was Minor carrying, and they're going to measure here. Well, let's face it, we've got a Jimmy Jones.
I did a pretty good job there, didn't I?
Yeah, I like that. You can call me Ray, or you can call me, whatever.
Just because I had Riggs carrying the ball and Jumpy Geathers making.
Jerry Jones, the new owner and general manager, he's an emotional man. And this was a painful tonight. The Cowboys looked so good, so strong, defensively and offensively in the first half.
It'll be a 3rd down and inches. I'll tell you, Ernest Minor has had the quietest 100-yard night I can ever remember. He just went over 100 yards.
He did 4 100-yard games last December when the Redskins had to have it to get into the playoffs. This is a great football player. He does it all out there. Keep him healthy, and you know you got an offense for the rest of the year.
That's a functional evening for number 21. And the 2-minute warning comes with 3rd and inches upcoming when we come back. Washington 33, Dallas 24. Let's go, Sid. I got the step. I'm bringing it back to Washington.
You can tell it's a Monday night.
And it's late.
And it's late. And he's not amused.
Yep. And it may be too late for him and the Cowboys because it's 3rd down and inches at the 31-yard line. Joe Gibbs and Jim Hannafin. You know,
Gibbs is telling Hannafin, if your offensive line doesn't get a first down, I'm going to be really upset.
You know, the term Renaissance man is overused, but it clearly applies to Hannafin. Anybody who can do 10 minutes on duck carving is a Renaissance man.
Former All-American receiver at the University of California. Played with some great players out there. Look at Les Richter, Ray Wilsey, Bob Carpy.
He also happens to be the best offensive line coach in the NFL, and Rippon fumbles the ball, and they don't get the first down.
Now they have a 4th and inches. Now Dallas should take a timeout here, but they have not indicated that they're going to take one, and Washington's going to let all that time run down. That's a curious
They're
situation.
not going to risk kicking another field goal from here. First of all, one of the ways to lose this football game would be to have it blocked. So on 4th down, they're just going to go for the first down.
I just question not using your timeout here. You've got all 3 of them.
Oh boy, this is a waste of a full 45 seconds.
You need 2 scores. You've got to take the timeout. 4th down, inches inside the 32.
Dallas looks like they're lined up off sides again.
And that's Riggs, and he doesn't get it. And that's going to turn the ball over at the 34-yard line with exactly a minute remaining. So they have all of their timeouts, but that was a very costly situation. That took a good 40 seconds off the clock.
And now Dallas confronted with the task of getting a couple of scores, and they've had difficulty moving the ball at all here in the second half.
So the Cowboys at their own 34-yard line against the banged up and depleted Washington secondary, but they've been unable to take advantage of it since Walton and subsequently Copeland left the game. Underneath the Smith to the 38-yard line, Andre Collins, and now they've got to call a timeout immediately. I mean,
I guess he wants to go to the locker room with all the timeouts.
You got to explain this to me. Second down and 5. We've got 35 seconds to go. It's caught by Martin. That's the first. Are we missing something or what? I mean, they finally take a timeout with 24 seconds left in regulation, down by 9 points. I mean,
they could be at this same juncture, granted with only one timeout left, but they would have more than a minute left on the clock.
Well, either way you look at it, they're going to have to put it up deep and try and get the big one.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to put it up deep, but I mean, you've got to manage your clock a lot better than that.
I mean, any way you look at it, they would only have one timeout remaining, but there would be well in excess of a minute left on the clock.
You know, there's a lot to be said now for a head coach who does not wear a headset. I mean, he would be getting a lot of input from people. No one's even been near him to the sidelines. He would be getting a lot of input. He's thinking about a lot of things on the sidelines. He had to get his offense out there. He had to get the right players to go deep, get 2 scores. And without a headset, he wasn't getting much help.
That's an excellent point, Frank. That's an excellent point, because he's out there by himself. You're right. He's thinking of 1,000 things. And let's face it, with the Giants, when Parcells was the head coach, it was Ray Handley, who basically did the clock management for the Giants, who's now, of course, the head coach. Aikman throws to the 25-yard line. It's caught by Irvin, and that's a first down, but the clock is ticking down. And the Cowboys now waste more time and finally call a timeout. Clearly, that's something that the Cowboys will work on this week. Guaranteed. We talked about Handley being so good with math last week. He's been thrown out of a few casinos. I don't think Jimmy has.
No, but although I can see Jimmy Johnson made a choice of a much more conservative shirt than Ray Handley decided to decorate the sidelines with last week.
Ray looked like your basic Domino's truck, I think, last week, didn't he?
A friend of mine at NFL Properties.
Domino's truck.
A friend of mine at NFL Properties told me they've had hundreds, literally thousands of calls from people wanting to know where they can get a Ray Handley shirt.
Maybe he started a fad. Well, Jimmy Johnson's Cowboys have shown themselves well tonight. Their return to prime time, I think, has served notice on the NFC East and the rest of the country that might have lost tabs on them for a while, that this football team is back and they're going to get better every week.
Agreed. Aikman. Next knockdown, and the flag is thrown with 8 seconds to go. Darrell Green hits Alvin Harper.
And meanwhile, the Redskins join the Phoenix Cardinals as co-leaders of the NFC East, and I think they've served notice that everybody knew all along that this is one of the finest football teams in the NFL. They're solid from top to bottom.
Pass interference, number 28, defense, automatic first down.
You think you could have gotten pretty good odds before the season started that in week 3 you'd have a battle for undisputed possession of first place in the NFC East, Phoenix at Washington?
Now, as you pointed out, Dallas now has to play Philadelphia. Then they have Phoenix. Then they have the Giants.
Cardinals Skins at RFK next Sunday for first place.
Speaking of
the throw is caught for the touchdown. Michael Irvin gets in with 2 seconds.
Again, we have to talk about clock management. Dallas would be in a position to try an onside kick. They might get the ball. A Willis field goal would win the game for Dallas, but they are flat out of time.
Yep, and you've got 2 seconds left, and the minute the ball is touched on the return, the clock starts, and 2 seconds later, you're home.
We do not mean to belabor the point, but those are the harsh facts. The reality of the last minute or two of this ball game was that Dallas wasted a lot of time that they would give anything to have now.
A touchdown on the field. The ball broke the plane of the goal line. It's being reviewed by instant replay.
Well, clearly, in the clock management case, Dan, the big screw-up comes before the fourth down play.
Touchdown.
It comes before the fourth down play. You've got to take a timeout there before Washington runs that fourth down play. That killed 42, 43 seconds.
That's it.
Here's Willis for the extra point.
Now, no time is used on an extra point. The clock does not start, so 2 seconds remain on the clock. Michael Irvin, I'm not sure if that's exhaustion or whether his neck hurts. He went upside down and landed on the top of his head with that touchdown reception, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if his neck hurts.
You think there were a few people around the country interested in that extra point?
They covered for that, didn't
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Again, I can't help but wonder.
You lead me into it. You lead me into it. I have to say it, and now I'll be in trouble. Yeah.
Again, I can't help but wonder what would have happened.
Why do I let you manipulate me like this?
Jimmy Johnson.
Because you're the junior member of the booth. Simple as that.
Got to get your point spread out worked out.
Thanks
I'd like
a lot,
to say again, I wonder what would have happened with Norv Turner had the offensive coordinator up here, had he been able to communicate with Jimmy Johnson. As we watched Jimmy Johnson on the sidelines, he did not even have anyone with him. And again, he was dealing with a lot of situations, personnel at the time, and it just got away from him.
I think that's the old story, Al. A lot of people happy, a lot of people sad.
Well, Jack O'Hara, our executive producer, the Wolfman, Kenny Wolf, our producer, the great Craig Janoff, our director, Joey Chavo, our TD, Emily Deutsch, Nancy Stern, halftime feature, Big Ben Harvey, our associate director, Kurt Kluger, Fred King, Charles Coplin, and the rest of the gang, including our illustrious director of information, Steve Hurt, our statistician up in the booth, George Hill, and our spotter, Kelly Malibu Hayes.
Sounds like a wrestler, doesn't it? Kelly Malibu Hayes.
The pictures and information tonight were superb, guys. Great job.
Well, the clock starts when the Redskins touch the football.
They have all the sure-handed types up close to the line of scrimmage.
And a fair catch is called for at the 14-yard line. And that's a smart play by Joe Johnson, because even though it takes no time off the clock, a kneel down is going to do it.
And he's not going to risk a fumble.
It's a smart play unless Joe Pisarcik is here.
I think the Redskins will have a few people back behind the quarterback, and this is not the Meadowlands. So expect no miracles.
That's right. But you never know.
Well, guys, I'll tell you this. This was fun. It's been a while since I've had this much fun in the booth. This was exciting to be around.
But you kind of get the feeling that we'll be back in Dallas, too.
I haven't had this much fun in a week.
Excellent game. Ends on a kneel down, and the Washington Redskins go to 2-0. Share first place with Phoenix. Dallas is 1-1. Cardinals go to RFK next week. Philly comes here. And we go to Houston next Monday.